Hello and welcome to Cybersecurity for sole practitioners, solopreneurs, and very small businesses, part of our Coffee and Cloud series. I'm Alan Falcon, CEO of Cumulus Global, and I want to thank you for taking the time here today, whether you're here joining us live or watching this on demand, to get a quick hit of information about cybersecurity for the smaller businesses among us. A quick reminder that the audio is muted for those in the live session. So if at any point in time you have a question or a comment, use the questions window. It's there's an icon at the top or right-hand side of your screen. And as always, we're recording the session and we work to get them posted on our website within 24 hours. We'll send you an update and a link once it's available. Feel free to share. And this Coffee and Cloud series is one of the many resources we have for you to read, watch, and explore in the resource center on our website. Feel free to check out some of the other valuable resources that we offer. So diving right in, we decided to do this webcast because we realized that among our client base, particularly companies with fewer than 20 employees, all the way down to the sole practitioner or solopreneur, have some unique challenges when it comes to IT, and cybersecurity falls in and has some of those same challenges for you as well. Now, when we talk about a sole practitioner, we're talking about, a business where you are the business. There's one person, it's you. You're delivering the service to your customers or clients, and you have to run the business as well. Solopreneurs are a little different. It might be just you, it might be you and some part-time help, but the intent is to grow the business. And there's some different challenges there because while the sole practitioner, you're worried about, from a cybersecurity standpoint, protecting one identity in one set of equipment. Solopreneurs, you want to protect that one, but in a way that you can add and grow and scale as you do go ahead and grow the business. Very small businesses, like the name implying, are the smaller of the small and mid-sized business set. We generally define that as companies with 20 or fewer employees. And the reason we do that are some of these challenges that we face as very small businesses. First, when it comes to cybersecurity, our expectations. We're held to the same security regulations and standards as larger entities. In fact, if we serve other companies in a B2B mode, there's a good chance that our larger clients will want us to adhere to the standards that they need to, particularly if there's anything that's industry specific. The second challenge is with those expectations comes smaller budgets. We just don't have the dollars to spend each month or year on too many additional security products and features, resources, staffing, expertise, etc. And the third challenge, which is definitely unique to very small businesses, including the sole practitioners and solopreneurs, is resources. And the reality is today, most IT firms do not want to take on clients with fewer than 20 employees. And the reason for that is the current prevalent model for IT service companies, which is the managed service provider model, assumes an economy of scale. It needs that economy of scale to deliver their services affordably and effectively. And a lot of that economy of scale and that business model was brought up on the fact that they used to be on-site support or break-fix organizations, and they sort of think in terms of the technology that they're providing as opposed to you as the business client. And so with that challenge, how do you get the security that you need in an affordable, effective way with access to the expert resources you want and need to make sure it's right for your business and you're being served well? So the strategy we recommend, and sort of this is how you'll focus on all of our security offerings, is our Security CPR model, which has three parts to it. And its CPR is communication and education, prevention and protection, and recovery and response. And we could dive into it in more detail. We've got great resources on the website about that as well, but you get the gist that you have to understand what the issues are and how your behavior impacts your security. You need the technologies and the policies and procedures in place to prevent attacks and protect yourself when attacks do happen. And you need to be able, since no protection and prevention is perfect, you need to be able to recover information and systems and respond as well. And because response to a security incident isn't just about recovering the data or recovering your systems, there might be legal reporting requirements, fiscal or liability issues, etc., regulatory issues you have to deal with. That's all part of recovery and response. And so our strategy is to get our very small businesses to focus on two angles of cybersecurity. And we find that in doing that, and the tools you use to address these focus areas overlap, and they really provide a broad spectrum of protection. So first, we want to focus on what are the most common SMB cyber attacks. Now, we know that over 85% of all cyber attacks start via email. Sometimes that's in an effort to steal identities and gain access to systems to do further attacks. Other times, the email is the primary attack as well. And so we want to make sure that that inbound messaging is highly protected and that there's a lot of prevention in there. The second focus is the most damaging cyber attacks that hit SMBs. And for this, there's really two kinds. One, ransomware, just for the sheer volume of ransomware attacks that are still happening. And cryptoware attacks, I'll include there as well, because sometimes your system will get encrypted and they won't ask for the ransom. They're simply out stopping you from accessing your data so they can steal it. And that's expensive. But then there's the business email compromise. And this is where someone is either in your system or interfering with your flow of email in a way that they can modify emails or send emails legitimately on your behalf, or that look like they're coming from you, that yes, they could cheat you out of money in situations, but more than likely they're going after your customers and your business relationships. And so there's an extended damage. And some time ago, we actually did a blog post about a case study about a real estate agent who suffered a business email compromise. And basically his buyers were receiving messages saying, hey, the house you didn't get, the bidder, the original bidder who won backed out. If you want it, you need to wire $5,000 to, this account by end of day today. And people sent money to that account, and it was the scammer. In a period of about 4 hours, his clients lost over $250,000. Huge damage for him, his reputation, his business, all sorts of legal liabilities. We want to avoid those types of expensive, damaging attacks. So that's the strategy. So what are our tactics? We'll assume you're going to make yourself aware and do the education of what the risks are and how your behavior works. And if you have a team that you want, we've got tools for that. But let's focus on prevent and protect. First and foremost, email threat protection. Not the basic spam and virus filtering that we're used to, but advanced capabilities. We want heuristics. We want sandboxing, which is where we test links and open documents to check for problems before they get to your inbox. And we test those links and test identities. We want to add new capabilities that are relatively new in this space, such as image scanning that uses AI-driven machine viewing and machine optics to actually look at the images in the email to see. We've seen phishing attacks. What looks like a trusted brand and text is actually just an image. Even the text is part of the image. And so it's a way to bypass traditional email threat protection and anti-spam services. So image, QR code scanning and testing as well to make sure there's nothing corrupt there. Bring that in. Again, 85% or more of all cyber attacks start with email. Let's really up our email protection. The next thing we want to do is, particularly for business email compromise attacks, which can be internal with your company or external to your clients, as I talked about before, is making sure that your domain name service records are fully up to date and they're compliant with respect to validation. And that means having your sender policy framework or SPF record complete and correct, removing items from that you no longer use or sources you're not sending from anymore, putting your DKIM and your DMARC records as well, getting those up and running. And this is a multi-step process, and particularly with DMARC, it requires configuration of policies, some testing of those policies before you actually turn it on to make sure you're not actually going to block or prevent valid emails from getting delivered. And making those changes protects you. It protects your identity. It makes it very difficult for people to impersonate you individually or your business at the domain level. And if you wanted to, we can even monitor the DMARC response to see, and you can get alerted if someone's trying to impersonate you. Now, those are the two things we want to talk about here today, but I want to remind you that having next-gen endpoint protection that doesn't just look at virus signatures, but tests files as they're opening for bad behavior and can roll that back is important, and multi-factor authentication on every system possible. Microsoft did a study about 18 months ago and said even if one of your employees or your own username and password is compromised, multi-factor authentication can stop 92% 50% or more of cyber attacks from moving forward. It's critical to your protection. Now, with respect to respond and recovery, again, no prevention and protection is going to be perfect. You have to be able to respond and recover. So on the recovery side, two key things. One, cloud backup and recovery. This means you're backing up all of your data in Microsoft 365 if you're in that ecosystem, or Google Workspace if you're in the Google Workspace ecosystem. If you have other cloud services, and they can be backed up as well, some can't, most can, some can't, those should be backed up as well. Why? Every cloud SaaS provider works on a shared responsibility model. What that means is they'll back up and they'll protect the environment so that the environment is operational and you have access to it. But when it comes to your data within their system, you have the responsibility. This is where it's shared. You have the responsibility for setting your permissions, controlling access, and making sure that the rules are followed. And so Microsoft and Google have no control over who you give access to. And therefore, it's very easy to have access to people who shouldn't have it. It also means that you have to be able to recover that information if it's ever lost or damaged. And that's where cloud backup and recovery comes into play. Now, as far as permissions management, it's not a core service, it's an enhanced service you may want to consider. We can do permissions management, monitoring and management to check for that. That's good for our VSBs that have multiple employees and certainly larger SMBs that we work with, but it's not a focus here today. Here are the core things you can do with respect to preventing most common and most damaging cyber attacks against SMBs and small and mid-sized businesses. The second thing we strongly recommend is having business continuity and disaster recovery for key devices. Now, if you're a solopreneur, you're probably running your business off a desktop or a laptop, or maybe you have two devices, and that's critical to you. You know, what's the impact on your business if there's a hardware failure? And it's going to take 3 days to either get it repaired or replaced and rebuilt. Now, granted, backup recovery means I can get your data back, we can reinstall the applications, you can be up and running, but how do you run your business for those 3 days in the meantime? So having BCDR on key devices means you can restore the system and data to a damaged computer or that local data that's on that machine, and you have the ability to continue working through an alternate mechanism while that system is being repaired and replaced. And that really gives you the business continuity. It helps you avoid missing deadlines. It helps you make sure the invoices go out on time. It's a key factor. So what steps do we think you should take? One, we think you should assess your current security profile. What's your situation? Do you have the bases covered, the core bases covered? Are there any security requirements based on your industry or your business model that you have to adhere to? Now, this could be PCI if you accept credit cards. It can be GDPR if you have customers or clients outside of the US and Europe, for example. You might have HIPAA requirements if you have any medical information about your clients or your own employees involved. So let's assess your current security situation, make sure the core bases are covered, and add any specific features you need for your industry or for regulatory compliance. Next, select your solution. We offer and build in security to our managed cloud service packages. For very small businesses, our essential and basic packages are typically the right fit. You can also simply add services a la carte. You can look at things like, you can look at some of the services I've talked about and say, I just want to add those services. I don't really want more than that. I don't want the whole package. We can make that work for you as well. And of course, after you do that, you've got to execute. You actually have to deploy the solutions. There might be some end user education or self-education on how it works. It can impact some workflows or action flows as far as logging in or managing certain aspects of your environment. We want to make sure that's communicated, covered, and provided as well. Now, to that end, we're going to offer you some resources. We offer a number of IT assessments, including some specifically around security and email security in particular. So if you jump, you can use the QR code or the URL on the screen with the code CPR 2506CC, and that when you submit an interest form for one of those assessments that you think might be good for you, we'll let you know if you qualify for a discount or a free assessment. We're happy to help out and make sure that figuring out what's wrong or what needs to be better isn't a barrier to you making a decision and taking the right steps forward. Additionally, if you want to learn more about cybersecurity issues that we've talked about and other cybersecurity issues as well, feel free to visit our library. We've got a number of ebooks on related topics, as well as a number of blog posts. You can search in the library. You can also just use the website search and get the information you're looking for. And finally, you can simply pick up the phone or send us an email or fill out a form and talk to our team. Our cloud advisors are more than willing to spend some time with you, no obligation, no cost, talking about where your business is at, what your needs are, and what add-on services you might need or what managed cloud service package might be right for you. And so feel free to use the QR codes on the screen or the URLs we've presented. If you have any other questions, now's a good time to open that questions window. We're about at the end of our time. Again, we like to keep these coffee and cloud sessions quick, informative, and to the point, and let you get on with your day, particularly on a hopefully nice Friday afternoon for you. If you have any additional questions, feel free to contact us here at Cumulus Global using the bit.ly link and the QR code, or info@cumulusglobal.com via email. You can also contact me directly. My email address is on the screen. Please don't call. I'm bad about answering the phone. I'm horrible about responding to voicemail. Send me an email. I don't have an assistant, so if I can't get to you quickly, I'll have someone on my team get back to you right away. And feel free to answer any questions you have. And on that note, I'm not seeing any questions in the questions window, so I want to thank everyone for joining me here today. Hopefully this is a good high-level view of the issues you face as an individual business owner, sole practitioner, solopreneur, or a very small business with 20 or fewer employees, and sort of a strategic direct way to approach your cybersecurity requirements and some resources and ideas that we have to help you meet those requirements. So I want to thank you all for joining. Have a great day and hope to hear from you soon.